Last, last. Now everybody go to breakfast.
Hello everyone. So this video I've been really excited to record is literally my moving to Ghana video. Like everything you need to know, any suggestions you want, but based on my journey. I was in Ghana for 6 months this year, which to me is crazy. I blinked and the 6 months was over. And even though I'm Ghanaian and I've lived in Ghana before, it was when I was younger. So a lot has changed. So I thought I'd make this video for anyone who has plans on visiting Ghana even, but mostly moving to Ghana. And in case you're wondering what all of these tools are for, I will be making like a little clay project while I discuss my journey. Let's get into it. So in terms of what I'm about to make is this little love letter. I got some inspo from TikTok. I am going to do a white one like the emoji at the top with a red heart instead. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. I'm really excited. So first things first, I've made some little mistakes already. But yeah, so the reason I moved to Ghana was because, or the reason why I decided I wanted to spend 6 months in Ghana was because I've always wanted to go back home. And my parents also lived in Ghana, as in retired to Ghana. So I just thought, why not be in Ghana, especially because one of my main goals was also to travel. And we have a house there. Accommodation when traveling can sometimes be the most expensive thing. So having Ghana as a base just made the most sense. I already have friends there. I did live in Ghana when I was younger. I went to primary school in Ghana. But then over the years, whenever I went back, I made more and more friends. So I just knew I would be okay in that sense. So regardless of my parents being there, my friends being there would also be great, which did actually work out even better than I expected, because my parents ended up coming back to the UK while I was there, which was not part of the initial plan, but it actually meant that I learned a lot more while I was there. Like I didn't depend on them as much as I normally would. So my first advice would always be research. Do a lot of research. Don't just jump into it. I didn't. My trip, even though people do think I'm very spontaneous, which I am not ill prepared for most things. I usually do my research, and a lot of it. I wouldn't do something without doing a little bit of research, and I will definitely not move to another country without doing my research, because I'm so sorry. What? Okay, so before you go to Ghana, the main thing you need to know, this is probably for any country you visit, you need to know what documentations you need. So this is all pre-departure information. A few years back, I hadn't sorted out my Ghanaian passport, and I didn't have any plans on doing that because I wasn't going to Ghana for long enough. I would usually go for like a month max. So I just used to get my visa. I would literally get like a 3-month visa and that was it. But back in 2021, during COVID, those who didn't have a Ghanaian passport had to pay about $150 for the COVID test. I quickly went and renewed my Ghanaian passport. That was the year I was like, yeah, it makes sense now. So just do your research. You can go on the Ghana High Commission website, but then you can also use there's like a passport index site, I think it's called. I'll pop the link in the comment section below, because depending on any country, any passport you have, it will tell you what requirements you need, just in case, because obviously information changes. Back in the day, you couldn't actually do visa on arrival. Now you can. So just depending on your situation, have a look at that link. Besides your documentation, you also need to figure out any medication or anything medical you require before going to Ghana. So for instance, your anti-malaria tablets, your jabs. So yellow fever is definitely high on that list. Any African country you go to, they probably will ask you for a yellow fever booklet. This is kind of what it looks like. So I'd recommend figuring all of that stuff out as well. I went to my local GP, and then they told me what I needed. I already had my yellow fever, so I just needed like a tetanus shot and something else. I think like a Hep A or B, one of those, go to your doctor and find out what you need. Another thing I did when I was moving to Ghana was to do a shipment. I actually shipped some stuff. It was not too many things. Quite a lot of it was clothes, but a lot of it was like products that I would probably want to get here. So like my cleaning products, not to say they don't sell them in Ghana, but one thing you need to know about living in Ghana is a lot of the stuff is imported. So something that would normally cost like £1 or £2 here will cost about £4 there. And also the currency fluctuates a lot more. So you may have been paying £2 at one point, but then the next day it could be £3 or yeah. When I was initially in Ghana, £1 was 20 Ghana. And by the time this was in Feb, by the time it reached like May, £1 was about 16 Ghana. So that meant every pound I changed, I lost 4 Ghana, which doesn't seem like a lot until you're changing a big amount, and then it's definitely a lot. So I did notice. So because of things like that, you should definitely think of what you want to ship and also the timeline if you are planning on shipping things. I would recommend shipping if you can, if possible, because it definitely helped. Accra, most people go to Ghana and live in Accra. You don't obviously have to. Ghana is a big country. There are loads of other places to live. But if you are planning on moving to Accra, then most people will focus on areas like Cantonment, Airport Residential, Ridge, East Legon, those kind of places, Usu maybe even. So yeah, those are the places that you can focus on like renting in. But the renting system in Ghana is a lot different from, for instance, the UK and the US. Usually you do have to pay for like a year in advance, which is crazy. Yeah, and I would not suggest you do that, just in case you have any of these issues. Find out from whoever you're going to rent from, or even if you plan on buying, because obviously a lot of people do consider buying. A few things that you should think about are definitely electricity. The electricity in Ghana isn't consistent, unfortunately. I think this is in most African countries. It isn't consistent, so you need to find out if you have a generator or if you have solar power in the building, things like that. Next up is water. Where I grew up in Ghana, I actually always used to have water. So I always thought, well, yeah, water is one of those things that everybody has, even though they always advertise polytanks. You know, in my mind, I just thought people had polytanks for fun. Yeah, I learned this year. I learned that the polytanks are definitely not for fun, and there's not running water every single day. Like, that was news to me. I actually thought most people had running water, especially in Accra. Maybe in the village, yeah, things are different. But in Accra, I thought almost everyone had water. No. Very, very wild awakening. Another important thing in terms of water to find out in your building, house, apartment, wherever you plan on living, is there a backup? So is there a polytank? And more importantly, if there is a polytank, is it connected to the electricity? Because even if you do have backup water and it's connected to the electricity, if the electricity also goes off and the water's off, that means you will have absolutely no water. So find out these kind of things before you commit to any area. And following on from water, since we're talking about water, you should also talk about flooding. Flooding is a big thing in Ghana because the drainage systems aren't amazing. They are improving, but they're not great. So you do need to actually find out if the area has any flooding issues. I won't just say find out from the landlord. I would actually say maybe speak to people in the local area that you're considering renting in. Because a landlord is a salesperson, right? They're going to tell you the best stuff, even if it's not necessarily true. One thing I also realized while I was in Ghana was that there was a lot of noise pollution from churches in the area. In my specific area, there was a lot of church noise. When I went to my friends and my family houses in different areas, there was also a lot of noise from their churches, their local churches. There's no restrictions on that, unfortunately, at the moment, so you probably want to find that out. But yeah, those are the kind of things I think I never really thought of while I was in Ghana, but they are definitely so important. My little letter is coming along pretty nicely. If it's not in line, don't let me know, because this is my first attempt. This is the order of things I would say you should do if possible. Obviously, if you need to find out if you can actually get this, if you're eligible to get some of these things, because I'm from Ghana and I do have a Ghanaian passport. Some of these things were easier to get. And I don't know why I just got them this year, but I think maybe because I had more time than usual. So I actually got my Ghana card. That wasn't that was a quick process, but there are a lot of questions that they asked, and someone had gone a few days before me, so they just sent it over. But I did hear you can get that for free after I had paid. But if you get the free version, apparently it takes a few days, whereas if you get the one where you pay, you get it on the same day. So I did the paid service and I managed to get it on the same day, and luckily that actually did do me some good when I traveled, because when I went to Togo, I was able to show my Ghana card because we're part of ECOWAS, and then I got some stuff discounted, which was a very nice feeling, because I was at one point I was thinking, is this even worth it? But it's a great form of identification. When I was getting my SIM card sorted as well, my Ghana SIM, I was able to also use my Ghana card. So that's what I would say in that order. And then eventually I also got my Ghana, I got opened an account, a savings account. So I would suggest doing all three if you can. If not, just obviously get your Ghana SIM. Broadband is also available in Ghana. So just find out which network is best for you, and also depending on the area you're living in, that's also important, because is the coverage in your area good? Next up, as I paint, I'm going to talk about some of my challenges during my time in Ghana. And one of them, most people probably not even want to listen to it, but it was actually the heat. The first thing that I really struggled with was the heat. I was shocked because I actually like hot weather, but I'm not gonna lie, it was unbearable. And for the longest time, I just thought, maybe it's just me, because what is going on? Obviously, people are saying it's hot. A lot of people use aircon, things like that. But then I saw someone post this on Ghana Twitter, and then I knew, okay, it's not just me. I felt a lot better because it was so hot. Oh my goodness. I couldn't live without a fan. So that's one thing you should always pack, a portable fan or 10. Another thing that was a little bit difficult was just customer service in general. I feel like it could be a lot better. When you mention anything about how poor customer service is, people be like, this is Ghana. This is Ghana. That I heard a lot of, and I actually found it really irritating, because it's like, so my next point, which some people would say is scammers. Some people will try and scam you all the time. Taxi drivers will try and scam you. This is one of the reasons I actually use Ubers while I'm there. If they get the chance and they know you don't know how much a taxi is and the distances, they will rip you off. They don't care. So enough on my challenges. We're moving on to some of my favorite parts, and I am not going to lie, one of my favorite things about going to Ghana or being in Ghana, and this is actually what made me move besides the idea of traveling, was the people. Community. No better community than when I'm in Ghana. I feel like when I was in Ghana, I would be at home and my neighbor would literally be like, do you want something to eat? Things like that. I don't get that in the UK. Do you think my neighbor gives a damn if I'm eating or not? They don't care. They don't even probably know if I exist in the world. My neighbors in the UK are actually not bad, but I'm just saying it's a very different level of relationship that we have. My neighbor was or my neighbors I should say, were so sweet. The whole community. I did grow up in Ghana, so I do think that also plays a part in this part of things, but the people in your community are usually helpful if you do get to know them. Obviously, if you're used to just being on your own and wanting to mind your business, you can do that. But one of the greatest things I feel is Ghana is just such a lovely place if you do find a good community and if you do build that, because you can't have community if you don't also like add to the community, if that makes sense. Another thing that I actually said was one of the challenges is the heat, but that was actually one of my favorite things. I actually think I thrive in warmer weather, so even though it was a lot there were points in time where it wasn't that bad. Another thing that I would say I really loved was the idea of having, like, I had an avocado tree in my house. I randomly had a friend round and my friend was like, do you know that you have contumely growing, so basically spinach growing in your house? I was like, no. I had a pawpaw tree, things like that. So like just having readily available fresh produce was amazing. And last and obviously not least, and if you know me, nightlife. Should I say more? In Ghana, there's no such thing as people waiting for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday to Sunday is as important as the other. They have fun regardless of the day of the week, which I love. There's a great, amazing work-life balance. I'm just going to do one last quote while I end this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I actually really enjoyed recording this video. It was probably a little bit chaotic with my clay making skills in the background, but I hope you enjoyed it, because I definitely did. And my final remarks is, which I wish I'd said at the beginning, but don't forget to budget for your trip. Don't forget, that's part of your research. Don't forget to budget, especially because the currency in Ghana does fluctuate. But don't think because you're in Africa it's cheap, it's going to be cheap. It is if you want to live like a local. If you want to live like a foreigner, like you are at home, everything can add up real quick. Overall, if I got the opportunity to do it again, I most definitely would. So I would recommend to anyone who wants to do it, why not? Even if you can do it for a few months, maybe not 6, everyone's different, but if you can do it for a few months, if you can do it for a few years, why not? Go for it. I will always encourage people to move and explore different places. You learn a lot about other people, about yourself, and it's just one of those things. So yeah, go for it, and don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And this is the final product of what I made. Obviously you can see some mess, but it was my first time. I don't actually know what that stain is there. This is what it looks like. So cute. I will be putting a picture from my travels in there, and yeah, a little love letter to myself. So cute.